Hello, everybody. Welcome to another DMV Comic Book Nerds podcast. I'm so glad that you guys are here with me today. Um, I'd like to introduce to you a new friend of mine. Her name is Polly. Hi, Polly.
Hi. Hi, everyone.
How are you today?
I'm pretty great.
Awesome. I'm so excited to have you on. You are, I believe, our first international guest coming to us live all the way from Serbia.
Yeah,
We've got a little bit of a time difference, but that's all right.
quite
Um,
a little bit of time difference. It's actually like afternoon here.
and it's like 9 a.m. over here. But it's all good. We are ready to talk about comics and X-Men. Um, but first, I want to know a little bit more about you, and I'll tell our guests a little bit more about me as well. Um, would you like to tell
Yeah.
us
Okay,
about
let
yourself
me
first?
start. So I'm just basically do nothing. I just write about comics. I read everything that I can. I watch everything that I can, and I write about it on my blogs. I don't do like a video or podcasts normally, and not on my own, but I do like to talk about comics. So anyone who wants to talk about comics, I would be so glad to have you on my Threads account. Like follow me.
Yeah, like I think
It's
that's where we
co
first
underscore
friended
mixed.
each
Yeah,
other.
yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
I'll just repeat that. It
And
was co_mixed, guys. You
yes,
can find Polly on Threads and Instagram, right?
and on Tumblr,
And on
I do
Tumblr.
like
Awesome.
long reads where I just complain about everything. I'm kidding. I just love everything.
Yeah, like tell us more about some of the stuff that you've been reading.
Well, I've been doing a read through of Daredevil comics, like from the actually not from the very beginning, but from the Frank Miller run, and all the way to right now. I'm a Chip Zdarsky run, and
Awesome. That's
it is
like I've been
amazing.
kind of following your journey. Like I remember when you were starting Frank Miller and like you have just been burning through each era like I don't know how you do it. Like like that's a lot of comics.
Don't have a lot going on in my life.
Well, that's okay. Like Daredevil is some good stuff. Like I've
It is.
also read like Frank Miller. One of my prized possessions, I have like the Bendis May Leave run in hardcover, and after that, I read the Baker run, and I read
Yeah.
the Mark Wade run, and Samney, and
Charles Soule.
so I'm starting to read that one. Like I have a video on our YouTube of like I read the first arc and I did a little short I guess you could call it just a short video of like the covers, but like I like it so far. I have to finish that one. But I did read
It
the
is pretty great.
yeah, I love it so far. But I also read the new Chip Zdarsky run, finished that one a while back.
The very new one. I haven't gotten around to reading yet. I'm
Hmm.
still on his first run, but like it's amazing. Everybody before I started, everybody told me to read two runs. It was Frank Miller because it establishes the whole character and the way he moves forward, and Chip Zdarsky because it was amazing. And I started reading, and oh my god, it blew my mind. It was
Yeah.
like everything that I love and hate about the character. I
Hmm.
mean, love to hate about the character because
Hmm.
complex person,
He is,
really.
yeah.
Yeah, I just had a discussion on Threads with some of the other users, and we were talking about how he's an amazing hero. He has all the right values, but then his personality. He's not a great person. He makes mistakes. He messes up a lot, but
Yeah.
like at its core, it's like he's very fun and enjoyable to read. Well, maybe not fun because like he's very dark and broody.
Right?
Yeah, but that's kind of the type of character I like. Because like it's Batman, Angel from Buffy. Those are like the same patterns, and I love that.
Yes, like you said, Matt Murdock is definitely a complex character. With his like strong like religious beliefs, but he also is like dresses up like a devil, like goes out being a
Yeah,
vigilante
that's
and
like he's very much built on his contradictions because he's religious and he dresses up like a devil. He is a lawyer, but he breaks the law constantly. Mm,
hmm
rather he like pivots the law a little bit, like pushes the boundaries. And of course, I think like he wants to have a normal relationship, but he doesn't. He does realize that he can't, but he still tries. I mean, it kind of brings me to the point where I think that maybe superheroes are better off dating other superheroes than normal people. Because look at his look at his like, body count.
Oh yeah,
It is
Daredevil has the
terrible.
worst body count. Like he's lost so many girlfriends. Like people talk about Spider-Man, but Daredevil has it worse. Like or his girlfriends have it
That's
the
right.
worst. It's
I mean, every
rough.
time he meets a new woman and he's like, yeah, I think I kind of like her. Like, girl, start saving up for a headstone. You're gonna
Right,
need it.
run. Just run.
I mean, it
Like
won't help. I'm pretty sure Karen tried to run from Bullseye. Didn't help
mhm.
her.
I mean,
Mm.
thankfully, Elektra survived. Like she came back, you know. She, like you said, he needs super
She came
girlfriends.
back and she came back to him.
Hmm.
Did
Yep,
you
like
not
the
learn your lesson?
like they're definitely wild as a couple. And you'll see more of that in the Zdarsky run as you
Oh,
keep
yes, yes,
going.
yes. I've already
But
seen more of that.
I have to ask you. I saw that you read a lot of the ones we mentioned already. Did you get to read the Bendis run?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I was
Awesome.
reading in order. So
Okay,
I went
cool.
through Bendis, then there was Mark about Echo, and
I love
yeah,
Echo.
that is so such an amazing comic book. Like
It really
it's
is.
not just the art, the writing, like everything is just
Hmm.
perfect. And then Bendis again, and then there
Hmm.
was like I think Bob Gale, right,
Hmm.
in between
He had a
somewhere.
short run in there.
Yeah. Usually it just feels to me
Kevin
like a huge
McGuire.
Bendis
Not
run.
was it? Is it Kevin McGuire? Who did the
Yeah, there
first
was like
one? Not Kevin McGuire. Kevin
Kevin Smith.
Smith. Thank you.
Yeah.
Did you read that one as well?
Yes, yes, definitely. That
Um.
was like the only one I missed was Chichester. I started reading it, but then I dropped it because it was like way too 90s, and I think it kind of was more action and not focused enough on Matt's personal life, which is a big part of what he is.
Mhm.
So you can just take one.
I do want to throw out there. There's a mini series. I think it's called Daredevil. Uh, Winter something. Oh gosh, I hate that.
Oh, is it the one when he where he is like walking through the winter to get the
Yeah, you read
transplants?
that one?
Yes, yes, of course.
Yes. What'd you think of that one?
That was pretty cool because, like, in the middle of Wade's run, that was very bright and very different from everything before. It was kind of like a return to his normal darker tone. I
Hmm.
really enjoyed that.
Yeah, like
Uh,
I love Lee Weeks as an artist, and I think he wrote that one as well. And it's short and compact. Sometimes I like a short and sweet story, but uh, yeah, Daredevil just has so many good runs and so many good creators.
yeah,
I think are just attracted to the character. We haven't even mentioned the Netflix series yet, which I'm sure you've
yeah,
seen.
yeah, yeah.
Like
I have actually seen it twice, which is
yeah,
not much for most people, but like for me,
no, me
it's
too. I
fun.
watched it twice as well. It's
Yeah,
great, and
I love those series, even though it sometimes becomes too violent. I remember
mhm.
at one point, the first time I watched it, at one point I was like looking at the credits and the blood flying, and it's a beautiful, beautiful sequence. But I was like feeling a little bit sick.
Oh no, I agree. Like I remember watching season one and just thinking like, wow, this show is like a little bit more violent than like I
Yeah,
would expect. I mean, like I said, we've read these comics and like they are violent, but like I just remember when that dude, spoilers, like he when he impaled himself on like the his head, like I was like, oh gosh, like that's really
but
grody.
I
And
mean,
then
at the same time, isn't that the comic book where the villain just
right, like so like it's
gouged eyes from his blind spot? Like,
like so
and it was
definitely
pretty graphic.
yeah, the comics can definitely be pretty graphic sometimes, and I think it's important that there is a side of Marvel that is more mature. and attracts more mature audiences. Um, Although I just don't really think it's great for kids, but but
Well, I mean, if
doesn't.
if your kids are watching Daredevil, I think that
I mean,
maybe don't.
yeah, it's up to parents. I'm not a parent, so I
Yeah,
can't
I'm
even
not
speak to
judging.
that.
I'm can't judge.
But
But maybe don't.
but I am curious to see how Daredevil will do on Disney. I mean,
Hmm.
I do have to say, like the Echo show, I was pleased with that. I felt it
Yeah, yeah,
captured
yeah.
the Netflix feel.
And at the same time, it wasn't that graphic in
Yeah,
terms of
like
violence.
it
I
it
like that.
it it kind of had a good balance of like being mature without being too gratuitous, I thought. So we'll see if they can capture that same magic with Daredevil Born Again.
Yeah. By the way,
Um
I just somebody just wrote me the other day again on Threads that they cast Heather Glenn
oh,
in the new show. I don't know if it's true because I didn't check because I'm staying away from spoilers.
right.
But
Yeah, I'm
like
trying to avoid spoilers as well.
that is
Um I
that is
did see
heavy.
yeah, I mean I did see I have seen some behind the scenes photos of Matt walking with
Costumes.
a lovely lady who I think is rumored to be Heather Glenn, but she doesn't look like Heather from the comics, so I'm not sure. Um, they could go any direction because they also had behind the scenes pictures of Kirsten McDuffie,
Yeah.
but this was I think
I
before they
actually was
redid it.
hoping that they would cast her because she's the most interesting out of all his partners
Yeah,
to
I
me.
agree. Like, there's a lot that like Mark Wade's run was like it's underrated because it looks a little more lighthearted than
Yeah,
what
and
people
it
expect from
feels
Daredevil.
that way. He's like very optimistic, and then, and I think I actually mentioned this in one of my reviews. Then, what I liked is that Charles Soule he took that optimism, and he took the darker stuff from before, and he mixed it up perfectly.
Although I
So
do
it's
have to say, I think that the Wade run has a lot of depth to it. Like he
yeah,
once he hits on the themes of like depression or like fear or all these things like he digs into it in a way that kind of hits you and you're not expecting it, I think. Um
I was a little bit pissed off that he's not dealing. He just literally wasn't it right before that he killed Bullseye, or he assumed he killed Bullseye. So I needed him to deal with it, and then Starsky pretty much did it. Like, actually made him go through this, and actually made him live through this and feel all that.
mm, yeah,
Well,
like I think there
what is
was a run Andy Diggle
yeah,
does that ring
yeah,
bells like um because I remember that whole Shadowland stuff where he was like,
yeah,
"I'm
yeah.
the
That was Shadowland
yeah." Daredevil was the
Beast.
ruler of the hand, the beast,
Yeah,
and he killed Bullseye, and it was a wild time, and he
it
had to
was a
like
fun time though.
it was
I
fun.
didn't. What I didn't like about that run is that it wasn't actually Matt that got corrupted, but technically he was corrupted by the Beast. But
Mm.
then there was a tiny, tiny mention at some point that he was the one who killed Bullseye, and that what allowed the Beast to actually capture him completely.
Oh
And
wow, see like
nobody ever addressed it after
mhm.
that. That what bugged me.
Oh wow, yeah, like I remember like, it was so long ago since I read that
Yeah, it's fresh for
story.
me. So,
But yeah, so I'm loving hearing your fresh take on it. Um, I I do remember like that was around the end of that volume,
yeah.
so like I feel like there was like a 4 issue miniseries between that and the Wade run. Did you read that one as well?
I think yeah, I did.
Yeah, because I'm trying to remember what happened in there. I was that when like he was trying to give up being Daredevil, right?
Isn't it that like every other year for him?
Right.
I can't do that anymore. I lost another girlfriend. And then, oh my god, I need to
Yeah.
help someone.
Mhm.
That's his life. That's what we
Mhm.
love about him.
Mhm. And he always gets back up. Like if he falls down,
I
uh,
get knocked down.
but I get up again. Yes, that's like they gotta just put that as the theme song for the next Daredevil show.
Oh, that's
But
that's
Any
harsh.
any final thoughts about Daredevil?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna keep reading
All right,
till
yeah,
I
keep
get to the
reading for
very
sure.
yeah.
I'm gonna follow
Wow.
along. See,
Didn't
can't wait to
expect
see.
didn't expect to love it so much, honestly.
I'm glad that you're loving it and keeping it going. Like I know you'll be sad when it's over, but they're still making Daredevil comics, so there's always
Exactly.
the new ones to look forward to. In fact, like there's a now that after Zdarsky, there's a run by Saladin Ahmed and Aaron Cooter, and
Mhm.
I mean it's interesting. It's definitely a different take. I'm not going to spoil anything for you or viewers who haven't read it yet, but yeah, that's something to look forward to.
Okay, I will.
Um, all right, so I do want to take a minute to mention that previously, like earlier this week, you were on a podcast called Tales from the Fandom.
Mhm.
And yeah, if you haven't listened to it, guys, go check it out. I'll try to drop a link when we promote this podcast because there you can hear more about what Polly is into, what she's reading, what she watches. Um, you talk about X-Men, you talk about Daredevil, you talk about Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Battlestar Galactica, and lots of cool
Basically
stuff.
things I talk about all the time.
Very cool. I was very excited to like hear your take on it because like you mentioned that you're a big fan of X-Men Evolution,
Yeah, yeah,
which
yeah.
so am I.
Oh,
So apparently so is everybody who's been on this podcast so far. Like we're all
that's surprising
I guess,
because like
Evolution fans,
at some point you couldn't like find anyone who even cared about the show.
right?
And then we just pop up here and there.
Like I gotta say, so last week I officially announced that on my other Twitter account that you know I I run the X-Men Evolution fan page
Oh,
on Twitter,
nice.
and so now I'm kind of like cross promoting. I was a little shy about doing that because I always wanted my X-Men Evolution fan page to just be about the show and not be about me. But I'm trying to be a little more confident, put myself out there and promote the podcast. But yeah, I started that back in 2018 because people weren't talking about X-Men Evolution back
Exactly,
then.
yeah.
Like when I would go online, it was mostly love for X-Men 92.
I think
And
that's why we got them back and we haven't
yeah,
gotten the evolution back yet.
yeah. And I get it. X-Men 92 came first and like, they deserve
That's
it. Like it was
true.
a great show.
Yeah.
But I would love for X-Men Evolution to get their chance to get rebooted after this, maybe. Who knows? And maybe even all the other shows, Wolverine and X-Men. I mean, I don't know. Like, part of me is kind of overwhelmed by reboots. Like, does everything
Yeah,
need to get
but then they
rebooted?
give you this.
But then they give you
Then
this,
they
and like, well, why? Yeah, like it's great, so why not?
yeah, I mean, do we even have a right to complain anymore?
Right? Yeah, I'll
Because
just.
they took this show and they actually made it better,
They
if
did.
anything.
Like, we have to give them credit. Like, we'll talk more about 97 more in a bit, but yeah, you're right. They when you tell stories with love and care, you get a good quality product, and um, there's not much negative that can be said about it. But um, before we move on from talking about comic books, though, I have a few things I want to mention, and you tell me what you think. Okay, so first, I'll say that we had unfortunately a few deaths in the comic book industry recently. First, I'd like to mention Mark M.D. Bright, who was a great artist. He's worked for Marvel and DC and Milestone, and he's done everything from Iron Man to Icon to Captain Marvel with Monica Rambeau and Falcon, and he left a very bright legacy. And so that's a very sad thing. Are you familiar with Mark Bright?
I think I should be, but I could be like the details could be escaping me. But if he
That's
worked
okay.
on X-Men, then I definitely saw something from him.
I'm I'm trying to remember if he did it. Yes, he did the Spider-Man Wolverine crossover. I think the first one. They had a mini series way back when. Um but yeah, if for people who haven't heard of Mark Bright, I recommend that you look him up and learn more about his artwork and his contributions to comics. And yeah, we just want to remember his legacy. Um, but I also have to mention there was another passing this week. Ed Piskor, Ed Piskor. Um, this is a more controversial one, but I feel like I have to talk about it because not only are the circumstances surrounding it important, but also Ed Piskor had a notable run on X-Men. He did X-Men Grand Design a few years back, and it was like a retelling of the
Yeah,
X-Men's history, all in like a few issues. Have you read that one?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so
Actually,
like
I even had the book somewhere. I mean, not
awesome. Yeah.
here,
Like
but
like
yeah.
I remember when that came out, it was like pretty interesting to me. Like it was like oversized and like um and some might say the artwork was a little bit kind of ugly, but like that sometimes that has a cool vibe to it. Like it's kind of like quirky or like
It was definitely like interesting.
yeah, like it plays into like the whole
Retro
hated and
style.
feared themes of like, you know, the X-Men are a little offbeat, but um but I have to speak a little bit about what happened because this has been big news on Twitter. It's like
Yeah.
he was accused of sexual misconduct. One of the accusers was 17 at the time, and he hadn't been charged with anything, but he had been losing work opportunities like right away. And then on April 1st, he had left a Facebook message, uh, and he died by suicide. And you know, I just think it's an unfortunate situation all around. Um, my hope is that comic books can be a more welcoming space to women in particular, and also a safer place where like not just comic books, but society all around the world. Like we need
Yeah.
to, do better about how we're treating each
We
other,
treat
especially
each
men
other,
towards
yeah.
women. So yeah, I don't know. Do you have any thoughts about this?
Uh, I I do have. I mean, I have read, of course, the news, and I have seen some threads and some comments like more supportive and more like aggressive and different kind of comments. But like ultimately, I don't even know. I think that the topic is too complex to just try and sum it up.
It is, yeah. Um, like
So
I
probably I'm probably better off saying nothing.
no, I understand. Like I was hesitant to bring it up, but I just felt like, one thing I wanted to mention is that this hits a certain topic for me where it's like, how do you deal with works of art by people who have done something wrong? Like in this case, he hasn't been convicted of anything, but it's like, but you know, people are judging for themselves
People,
based off of
yeah,
the DMs and such. Um, but it's like usually if someone has done something that's ruined their reputation and they're alive, then I'm usually pretty good about like trying to
avoid the work.
avoid their work and
Yeah.
not prop it up. Like used to be a big Harry Potter fan, not a big Harry Potter fan anymore.
Mhm.
Just for example.
But
But
then, I'm a fan of Buffy, so
right, like Joss Whedon.
yeah,
I'm a fan of Joss Whedon's works.
yeah, a lot of his works.
But
I
but
mean,
I but I, but I can't like just. It's hard to recommend it as much in these days, like just because of his reputation. And
I mean, yeah,
but
I
usually after
understand that.
people,
And at the same time, there is mm, when you can manage it without allowing the person to profit from it.
yes, that's my main thing. Like if usually after a person has passed away, well then I think we have a clearer view of their legacy. Like if they're no longer profiting from
Yeah,
their work, we can kind of discuss their work and detach it more from who they were, or we can at least, or even look at who they were and what the
But then
art
again,
says.
you can always mention the work, and you can allow people to criticize, like to make up their own mind. But you have to
Yeah,
still mention the person behind it,
and
and you
that's the
have to
tricky
be
thing.
open about the what they've done. And
Yeah, I think if with these serious topics, it is important for us to discuss them as a society so we can work through them and hopefully overcome them and do better. But I know how easy it is to like read a comic book and not know the person behind it. Like we have credits, but like, you know, I didn't know anything about Ed Piskor but when I was actually reading the book. Um, and it's so easy for um comic books to like, you know, just not let us know about the people behind them. So I don't
yeah,
know. It's
a lot of
complicated.
times you're actually reading, like especially when you're reading on Marvel Unlimited, for instance, you can just not notice who's the artist, who's the writer. Because it happened to me when I was finishing. Was it? I think it was Bendis and the run after him. Already confused.
Brubaker.
Yeah. And because it was so smooth, and like one event just crossed over to the next book, uh, I didn't notice right away that the writer has changed
Mm.
and the whole writing team. So yeah, that could happen. Maybe you would notice better with art because obviously it's something that you look at. But
Like for
sometimes, yeah,
me,
that can escape you.
yeah, you're 100% right. Like I remember at the time, like there was like a big changeover when it was Bendis to Brubaker, and Brubaker I think was just coming off of his big Captain America run that had done Winter Soldier and all that. So like it was a notable change for me at the time. But I liked them both. Um, but yeah, but like you said, sometimes it's hard to know, and
Yeah.
so I hope that people can discuss things respectfully and take things seriously when they need to be taken seriously, and and you know it, and to everyone who's living right now and who is impacted by these events, you know, I want to offer them my sympathies, because it's never easy on any side of it, I think. So like for the family members, for the potential victims, everything, it's just a lot of bad stuff
Yeah, a
going on.
lot to unpack.
Yeah. But let's move on to happier topics. I have to ask you, uh, is did you get to listen to Beyonce's Cowboy Carter?
Actually, no, I keep thinking that I need to, because like that's I
I
think that
mean,
one of the biggest social events.
yeah, it is. I think it's
And
pretty
yeah,
great. I recommend it, but I'm just
I
wondering, is it big in Serbia? I don't know.
I mean, it's probably I better go out. I've been reading Daredevil, okay? So you know, everybody knows what I've been doing.
Yeah.
But I keep, yeah, I think from the first time I heard that she'd done it, like she did a country album, I was like, I need to listen to it. I have to, and I eventually will.
Yeah. Cool, cool. Yeah, I definitely recommend it. It's very good. She keeps outdoing herself in my opinion. Um
Why not?
and what else? I did want to ask you though, like based off of um the history that you were giving in the Tales from the Fandom podcast, like I was wondering, have you lived in Serbia your whole life, or
No,
did you move
I just
there?
moved. Yeah, I just moved here like 2 years ago.
Gotcha,
Oh,
because like I
small
was
town.
wondering, like, because I was like, did they have X-Men Evolution over there? Like I don't know.
Well, actually, I don't know, because like I grew up in Russia, which is,
Gotcha.
you know what it is.
Yeah.
And but like in the early 2000s, it was a little bit different. So yeah, we
Mm,
did have X-Men, and we did have X-Men Evolution. So I watched it on TV. I watched it
very
after
cool.
school. Yeah, it was like my favorite thing to do. I remember I think I told that on the other podcast, because the first episode I've seen was mm, The one with the snowmobiles with
Yes,
Rogan Scott. Yeah,
that's a classic one.
yeah. I was so excited by like all the drama that was happening and the
Mhm.
jealousy and the like teenage stuff. I was so excited. It was just like for me as a teenager back then, it was everything. And then
Very
of course,
cool.
like it was like a snowball.
Yeah. Cool, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Um, there was a quick announcement that Marvel Studios will begin production on their live action X-Men film uh in 2025, like towards the end of the year. So, what do you think about that?
I mean, my first thought, like recently after people started talking about how Fantastic Four may take place in a different universe.
Hmm.
Have you heard that? That's
Hmm.
obviously a rumor, but it's not without foundation. And I was thinking that maybe they could do the X-Men as they supposed to be done there, and especially
Hmm.
if it takes place in the 60s, or like 50s, I don't know, probably 60s. Uh, that would make so much sense, and that would be so fun, and that could be like more comic book accurate than if they do it in like the current MCU, which I also want, but they could like keep some actors and they could recast some actors and they could do so much more with alternate universe. I don't know. I'm just excited, and like if the X-Men are beginning production in like 2025, that yay.
Yeah, like, do
That
you
is
think?
probably the best news I've heard all week.
Cool, cool. So, are you thinking that they will be in the same universe as the Fantastic Four,
I'm just
or
thinking that
maybe
it
separate
would
from
be
that?
a cool concept.
Yeah, like I think that could be cool. Like from what I think about that is like based off of the end of the Marvels movie. Had you seen that one?
Yeah, yeah, of course.
Yeah, like we already kind of saw spoilers, but
Yeah,
like
yeah.
there was a
University
alternate
eventually.
universe where the X-Men
Yeah.
were there, Beast was there.
It could be
Um,
that universe, by the
it
way.
could be that universe, which seems very 90s, 2000s, which could be interesting.
We
Although,
actually, I mean, it's hard to say whether it's 90s or 2000s or like current time
well,
or anything else, because it could be 60s for all we know.
I don't know, like that one in particular, we saw Blue Beast in this lab coat, which to me
Well,
feels
that's
very
true, yeah.
90s. And we've already seen a version of Professor X in his yellow chair, which is very 90s.
Yeah, in
And
a,
then
in a an even different universe. Yeah.
yeah, and then we've seen sneak peeks of Wolverine who's going to be in his blue and yellow and Deadpool Wolverine. So it's like we wonder if all that will be connected or it'll be separate, or there's a good possibility that Deadpool and Wolverine will like kill the Fox franchise and just start over. I don't know. They could go any way with it. But that's the interesting part of being a fan. We get to just
Fox
wait and
killed
see.
the Fox franchise. So. Hmm. But no,
Like
I actually love it.
I mean,
I just
it has its ups and downs. I definitely I've been there for it, along for the ride the whole time.
yeah, I mean,
Um,
it was the first X-Men we got, live action X-Men, and it was good for what it was. It was enjoyable,
yeah.
and I love rewatching those movies still today.
Me too. I mean, again, it's another situation where like the director has scandal around him, so it's like it's hard to kind of look at these films in hindsight, and it's like um and it's just so frustrating for me as a fan. I'm like, can we just have scandal-free stuff? Like that's all I want.
Can we have something good without something bad?
Yeah. But I won't belabor that point. Um, there was another bit of movie news. There's rumors that Thor 5 could be released in 2027 with a darker tone than Thor 4, and it'll be the last Thor film with Chris Hemsworth. I don't know about how true these rumors are or not, but any quick thoughts about that?
The last movie was pretty dark if you think about it. It was
It had
a
some
lot of
darkness to
jokes,
it.
but yeah, it was pretty dark. But I know, I think I understand what they mean by that. Mm, and well, I'll be one. Definitely, I'll be watching it.
Like I actually don't know what they mean by that because like I remember after Love and Thunder, a lot of fans were mad that like people who wanted more butchery from Gore the Butcher. Like I get
Yeah.
that, but they wanted more of like a Viking, I guess, feel or whatever. But but I kind of liked Love and Thunder from
Yeah,
what I
same.
remember, and it had humor, it had lightness, but it also had some darkness to it, like you said. And also the character Thor has already suffered so much. Um,
And he wasn't he like dark in the beginning and they still didn't like it, then he became lighter and lighter and lighter.
right.
The
So
movie
it's like it's
became
like a
lighter in tone
weird
and they still don't like it.
cycle.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's so hard to please
Maybe you
everybody.
just don't like Thor.
Yeah, maybe they don't.
Obviously. Yeah, I obviously do.
Yeah, so I don't know. It kind of makes me sad to think that it'll end on a dark note, but maybe it'll come around and have a optimistic ending. But like when I think about Thor's arc in the MCU and how he lost his father, his mother, his brother, his whole realm, and then like all his friends, and then he's just dealt with a lot of loss, and the Taika Waititi movies were kind of about him getting over that loss
That's kind of
and
like your
have
drum.
having like a new beginning, and like it ended with him taking on a new daughter basically, which was like his real life daughter. So it's like I don't know, I feel like what are you gonna do, kill her off? Hopefully not, but
I
I
mean,
think
I think what they mean by this is probably it's going to be more serious and less humorous.
I mean I could see that if they go in the direction like a Logan film,
Oh
wh-
no, that was too brutal.
I mean what else are they
I
gonna
think I watched it twice and that was it for me. Like I can't do it anymore.
yeah, like if you have Thor and you have his young daughter and they're having a dark movie. Like what else is it going to be? I don't know, but
Turn off
we'll
the
see
lights
what
and
they
like
do with
sit in the
that.
darkness. I don't know, sit and brood. I
Hmm.
mean, there are all many definitions of what dark can be. Maybe it was gonna be more serious, or maybe it was like darker in colors.
Yeah, we'll
You never
see.
know. You
Hmm.
never know what they mean.
All right, the last bit of comic book news I got to talk about. Okay, so in comic books last week, X-Men 97 #1 came out.
Yeah,
Okay, and in this comic book, we learn why Storm got a mohawk.
because she wanted to.
Because she wanted to.
Spoiler
She
alert.
right, like spoiler alert, she was going to a Dazzler concert, which she ended up not even going to.
I
But
mean,
she
that
felt
happens. I totally understand that.
yeah. But I'll post. Let me try to share this. All right, so here's the panel from X-Men 97. We got Jubilee saying, "Whoa, I can't believe it." And then we see Storm with her new mohawk. She's like, "Do you like it, Jubilee?" And Jubilee says, "It's like totally punk rock." And Storm says, "Isn't that Dazzler's vibe? I wouldn't want to appear out of step with the culture.
I
Besides, a
mean, is
dawn of a
that
new
Dazzler's
millennium."
vibe though? I mean, in the cartoons, yeah, it seems that way, but
And then she says she wants to embrace the new millennium with a new look. Because it's almost the year 2000, which is kind of a throwback.
yeah,
but
everybody thought that something's gonna change.
But what strikes me about this moment is how just because Jubilee has always been like the 90s replacement for Kitty Pryde, in my opinion. And in this scene, Jubilee is all for Storm's new look. She loves it. But back in I guess, the 80s, when Storm first got her mohawk in Uncanny X-Men number 173, Kitty was not having it. She was upset about it for issues. Like, I'll share a photo here.
So ridiculous.
Like Kitty was so upset. Um, she's like, "Your clothes, your hair, what have you done? How could you?" Like she took it personally.
That's any business of your child.
Hmm. And like so, this has been a long like I think a lot of people have long made fun of Kitty for overreacting. Um, but it's just wild to me because I do think with the rise of the X-Men 97 show, there's been a lot of hatred for Storm's Mohawk online, and I get some of it because sometimes we do want to see black characters represented with more authenticity, with more or texture to their hair, or more hairstyles that are you know realistic.
Authentic,
But
yeah.
I mean, but at the same time, this 80s look, this 80s punk look for Storm is very iconic. Like this
It
whole
is.
storyline that they're doing in the show is so tied directly to it. Um, I mean, I don't hate it. I can't be too mad about it. But
I
that
know it
said,
is one of my favorite looks, by the way.
right, like it's not bad. It's just I just feel like I did love what they've been doing with Storm in the comic books recently, where it's more textured, and like even though
Mm.
if it is a mohawk, it's kind of like more um shaped, or instead of
Yeah,
like
yeah, it's curly.
shaved. Yes, but
I think at some point it was curly too. But
mhm.
like in the same panel, Gina standing in that weird hat. What's with the
So
hat,
actually,
Gina?
that's Madeline. Madeline, like that's the first time
Well,
Storm
yeah,
meets
that's
Madeline,
that's true.
and that was crazy
So
too,
what's with the hat, Madeline? I mean, I can tell them apart. I mean.
right? Who can? But
What
actually,
right do I have to blame Scott now?
right? I will say, like, it's we're about to get into X-Men 97 talk more, but like on the intro for the 2 episodes or the 3 episodes with Madeline prior as Jean, her hair is down,
Yeah, yeah,
and then
yeah.
in
Then
this
she
in
has
this
a
in this episode number 4, she got the ponytail back, like the
yeah.
classic ponytail. So
Yeah, I first
that's how we tell them
I
apart.
actually liked that. Yeah, good luck with that. I actually liked that she had her down.
Hmm.
Yeah, because like it's kind of looks better. I
Yeah,
don't
I,
know.
I agree.
But then I got the thing with the switch, and yeah, okay,
Hmm.
that makes sense. And also, like the first time, I think the first time they were in the same frame together, Jean had the ponytail already. So.
Yes, like there
But
was that
nobody
moment
told
where
Scott, so
there's that moment where she's like, "I'm getting to work. I'm putting on my ponytail, and I'm gonna beat Maddie's butt in the
I
astral plane."
you know
But
she means business.
she means business for sure. So let's go ahead and just get into it. X-Men 97,
Okay.
episode
Yes.
4, Motendo, part. Well, this episode is notable because it's 2 separate segments. The
Yeah.
first segment is Motendo, and the second segment is
Love
Life
that.
Death Part 1. So I think we should probably just talk about the first segment first.
Well,
um,
let's just first talk about why they did it, why they split Life Death into
sure.
two
Do you have
different
any
parts.
thoughts on that?
I do. I think that actually they had to build up this connection first, and maybe it would be a very I don't know, maybe boring for some people, like for those who prefer action, if they just focused on this.
Mm-hmm.
But I could be wrong. But apparently, the arc is going to be long because it takes a half of episode and then a whole episode. Mm,
Yeah,
Yeah,
like did you like having 2 separate segments in
I
this
did. I did. But kind of deep inside, I was. It's always fun to see some action and to see a Mojo. Yes, he's creepy, but like it's the closest thing we have done to VR games, I guess.
Mhm, mhm.
Mm, anyway, it's always fun to watch some action, but I couldn't wait to get to Live Death because like it's one of my favorite arcs ever because
Yeah,
it's
like,
focused on Storm.
right, it's a big deal, and, like, I have to say, a lot of people are complaining that, like, only have 8 minutes for Life Death Part 1, you could a lot of people are complaining that the show, like, if they have any complaints whatsoever, it's just that they're doing so much in such a short amount of time, and
That's so the comics, by the way.
yeah, and I mean, well, the comics did kind of tell these stories over years, like,
That too, they do that too sometimes.
but
But
they
then
always had a
again,
lot going on, and
yeah,
so like, I mean, on one hand, I kind of like the pace of this show, like I'm not bothered by it, but it does make you wonder, like, what if they did spend more time on these arcs? Because when I think back to the original show, they never did this. They never had two separate segments in one show. In fact, they were had a lot of multi-part episodes that were like spread over the whole season. Um,
I
so
mean, what
that's
are they gonna do
interesting,
with live action if they reveal everything in the cartoon?
right? Like they won't have anything left.
Right?
Uh, but I would be fine with just having an X-Men cartoon forever. Like just keep making the cartoon. That's fine with me.
More, more, more. I mean, I am hoping that they're eventually gonna go and introduce the New Mutants because those guys are gonna work fantastically in a cartoon.
Yeah, like we've got Roberto da Costa here.
Yeah,
Um
and
and
that's it.
he's he's sparking up a little romance with Jubilee. Um any thoughts about that?
Oh, and Ileana about Bobby and Jubilee.
Yeah.
Okay, that is man, that's a weird, weird couple. But like they're the only teenagers in the house. What do you think is gonna happen?
Yeah. Like I think
That's
they
the same reason like Scott and Gina still together.
mhm. Yeah, I do think that they're cute together, but part of me can't help but like think about Roberto from the comics where he's like obsessed with Cannonball. Like they're just buddies. They have a kind of bromance thing going on, but a lot of fans are have been wondering like is Roberto bisexual or whatever? Like
I honestly don't know because I probably never. I mean, yeah, he could be definitely. I just I'm trying to mentally like recall every single relationship he's ever had, and
he's dated women. He's had a lot of
none of them
relationships with
lasted
women.
actually. So
But he's stuck on Sam Guthrie and like they even though Sam got married a few years back, like
yeah,
like
had a kid.
Roberto is like always sticking himself in that relationship and like throwing shade at his wife and like it's it's really kind of
Yeah,
funny. But
I remember that like in the beginning, in the New Mutants, he was pretty obsessed with Amara, but everyone was.
hmm
And then I
and
remember Sam dated Danny for a while.
yeah, like there's a lot of interesting relationships in the original New Mutants run, and a lot of people like to ship different things. Like it'll be interesting if they introduce more of the New Mutants, like you said. It's kind of weird seeing Roberto apart from all of them, I think, but for this show, I'm trying to embrace it. I'm just a little worried that the MCU will like Marvel will try to have this synergy across the comics and the
Yeah.
movies, like and this will be the new status quo going forward. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah, and
see.
people will see that for the first time and they would believe that it's real.
Right.
And then you're gonna be defending your ship for the rest of your life. Isn't that what happened with like mm, Barbara and Dick in DC?
Oh my gosh, yeah, there's a lot going on with that over there. We won't talk about
Yeah.
that right now. And
That is too
Starfire and all
much
that.
to unpack.
hmm But yeah, back to Motendo. So I love that right away. Like before I even saw this episode, I could tell from the name this episode is going to be about Mojo and Nintendo. Like it's going to be very 90s. Uh
Yeah.
and it was
That
exactly what I hoped it would be. Like it was, you got Mojo back. He's throwing them into this video game world. It's like he sucks them into the Matrix practically.
Yeah. But what I love about Mojo episodes is that they're always, and episodes and books, they always rehash some of the stuff that you could have missed before,
hmm
or they like showcased history and the greatest hits or something like that. And
hmm
it's always fun and it's always nostalgic and a lot of action too. And then
Absolutely
like the whole Jubilee's arc, because like I mean she doesn't want to grow up. Who does?
right. And like I gotta shout out this show. They had some little parodies of like
Oh,
a different world. And they recreated like the image from that
oh, North
show,
Star is there.
and also yeah, North Star is there, which is very interesting. And also I think that's Darwin behind Jubilee.
Dude.
And look at
No, I
Roberto
think
hugging up
that's isn't
on
that
Bishop.
more?
It could be more, but like
Good
It looks
one,
like
yeah.
his
Mhm.
costume looks like Darwin, and Darwin is bald
Oh
as
yeah,
well.
yeah,
But
yeah.
Morph is always
That's
shape changing into
Ford.
everybody. But look at Roberto hugging up on Bishop. Like that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Um, and then you've got the "Who's the Boss" parody. I thought that was funny too. And they said, "Who's the boss?" Magneto.
Magneto there.
Um, and then you had also Divorce Court with Scott and Jean.
Oh yeah. It's like I just literally just read the it's a fan comic book by Stephanie Williams and
Yes,
O'Neill
Living
Jones. Yeah,
Heroes.
yeah. I just like read it today, and that
Awesome.
family court scene reminded me of the part there where Jen is on the show with Matt Murdock, I think, and that was like, that's such a fun comic, by the way.
Yeah. Shout out to
Definitely
Stephanie
recommend it.
Williams. I'd love to see
Mm-hmm.
her do more with the X-Men, with Marvel. Um, this comic that we're talking about, Living Heroes, I think
Yeah,
I think it's independently published, and it's
yeah.
kind of a riff off of Living Single. So
Mm-hmm.
good stuff. And also Stephanie Williams is a Black author. I think it's important that we see more diversity in the creative teams on the X-Men because it's a story about diversity. So I love hearing diverse perspectives. Um, and yeah, I think that's one of the joys of this show. Like we've got Bo DeMeo, just referencing everything, and it was noticeable to me that this episode, both segments featured the mutants of color. We've got Roberto and Jubilee, we've got Storm and Forge, and we're getting interesting stories with them, and I love to see it. But I do want to talk a little bit about this Motendo game. Look at this system
Yeah.
right here with the controllers and everything. Um, Someone pointed out that the game artwork recalls the old X-Men games. We've got a Sega game, and we've got a Super Nintendo game, X-Men Mutant Apocalypse. So it's
Mhm.
like they really did their homework with this series.
I mean, they probably just recalled everything they remember
True,
from the
true.
days.
And I just love how lovingly they're representing everything. Like the once Jubilee and Roberto got sucked into the video game, like a lot of the animation changed to more of like a 8-bit old school video
Yeah.
game quality. And I love it when shows do stuff like that. Like I remember the show Community had a whole episode where they went into a video game. Um, I feel like there are other examples too, but like that's the one that stands out to me. Um, but yeah, any other thoughts about the video game world that they were inhabiting?
I mean, how about we get a new X-Men video game?
Ooh, I like that. Yes.
I
I do.
don't just like that, I need that actually. The
Well,
last time, the last time we had PC game that included mutants, I think it was Marvel Heroes, and that was a long time ago.
well,
But I
actually,
don't remember like
there was a new game announced. I was going to mention it last week, but I forgot. Um, there's a game called Marvel Rivals.
yeah, isn't it like a mobile game?
Maybe, but it
Can't
looks kind of cool.
can't
Um,
fool me with that. We have mobile games, but like
I mean, I don't know too much. All I know is that I do worry about if my wallet can afford video games because, like, I still have never been able to play the Spider-Man games. I watch
I'm waiting for a sale. Okay, just missed one.
I watch YouTube videos vicariously of other people playing Spider-Man. Like I'm like it's been years. Like I'm just missing out. Like as a kid, I played them all, but like as an adult, I just haven't been able to make that happen. So,
Yeah, most of the time you don't have either time or money,
hmm
and like you work, you have money, you don't have time. You don't
hmm
work, you don't have money, but you have time. What the hell is that?
yeah, it's
And
biggest
like people are
dilemma.
complaining about Jubilee. It's like, you know
um,
what's what.
But speaking of Jubilee, it was very interesting that this episode was about her birthday. They announced that
Yeah,
she's turning 18, which
that's
answers
actually
some questions we had had, like how old is she now? She's definitely
yeah,
aged up. She's an adult
and
now. She's
uh,
18. She's entering adulthood, I should say. But
that's one of the things that I actually loved all the time about the original cartoon, because the characters change, and X-Men Evolution, by the way, because they
mm-hmm,
change, they graduate, they grow up.
mm-hmm,
So, and when that happens in cartoons, that's awesome.
absolutely.
When
And
it doesn't, it's annoying.
it's very interesting to think how much this show is going to push the characters forward, because from the title alone, they've pushed it from 92 into 97. So like it's been at least 5 years.
Yeah.
And then um, there was a rumor that came out this week that at the end of the episode, at the end of this season, X-Men might get new costumes. Have you heard about that?
No, I haven't.
Like
Well, like it makes sense.
yeah, I could see it. I'm very curious what costumes they're going to be. Are they going to be like the 80s Outback costumes? Are they going to be like some people have made some fan uh, art of like the team in maybe like astonishing X-Men costumes from the
Yeah, that would make
2000s,
sense.
or like it could be anything, or also a lot of people have said it's probably going to be the Grant Morrison black and yellow X jackets from the 2000s. I don't know, because
Astonishing probably is the best bet and the best choice, because those are like pretty cool.
I
Personally,
feel
I
like they
would I
might be
would
doing the
probably
Grant
go with
Morrison.
Marvel now, but because those are like I really love the costumes from that era,
Yeah, those
but
were cool.
those came later, so
Yeah,
it's
they
another
like they
10 years.
might get to that by season 3 or season 4, season 5.
That would like really take 10 years.
But I think they might go with the Grant Morrison runs, because like the last few episodes of this season are titled "Tolerance is Extinction," and I've heard that they're really kind of playing into what happened with E is for Extinction with Grant Morrison. So I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's possible.
It remains to be seen. But I think I do want to mention how Jubilee this episode we get introduced to a character named Absissa, and it was revealed before the show came out that Allison Court was doing the voice of Absissa, who and Allison Court previously did Jubilee in the old series. I didn't know who Absissa was. I was like, who? So I was surprised when I found out it was old lady
Yeah,
Jubilee. Like, what about you? Were you surprised?
same, absolutely same. Yeah, I was trying to put the name on the costume, and I couldn't. I just
Like, it was
it
so
was
cool.
it was
Like, I
fun.
really liked it. I just wasn't expecting it, and I think it was perfect for Jubilee's character arc to like see a future version of herself, and not only that, but like see how cool her powers were, and like kind of figure out
But
how
also,
she could
isn't
level
she
up her
like an
powers.
AI?
She is an AI in this
Yeah.
version, but in the comic books, apparently she was just like an alternate real version who had been enslaved to Mojo. Um, so like I think they kind of tried to soften those edges of that storyline, and it worked for me. Um, I'm going to share a picture here from the comics. Um, this is the X Reads podcast. Shout out to them. They're kind of letting us know about when Obsessive first appeared in Wolverine 53 as an alternate reality version of Jubilee. Um, yeah, like so this storyline looks pretty ripped from the comic books in a good way, and like this is
Also,
the
those
deep
are
cut.
pretty cool earrings she has.
Yep, she got the Jubilee earrings in both
Amazing.
versions.
Yeah.
hmm Um, yeah,
Although in the cartoon they look like tokens.
yeah, they do. Um, let's see. So yeah, I love seeing old lady Jubilee, because like it reminds me of old man Logan from the comics. Like now it's kind of becoming a cliche where everyone meets their alternate
Yeah.
universe version, and it's like there's old,
Old someone.
yeah. But I just wasn't expecting it here, so it was fun. I liked it, and you get you get the classic new voice actor meets their old voice actor,
Hmm.
and it's funny for me because I didn't know until I was much older that Alison Court also did a show called The Big Comfy Couch where she was like a clown. Like, do you recall that show at all?
I did not. I have never heard of this show.
I grew up with
It's
this
a
show. It's
clown.
totally different from the X-Men. I think it was like on PBS. Like it was very for kids and very educational
Mm.
actually. Um, but like she had a cute clown costume with like a big red nose and everything. And this is live action, so it's interesting. But yeah, shout out to those voice actresses because they're on social
Definitely.
media, like just like all of them. Like it's kind of cool to see everyone just excited about their roles again. All right. Any other thoughts on Motendo?
Wow. I think I think we covered everything, but I only watched this episode one time.
Hmm.
Oh, yeah, it's a
I
good
gotta
to miss.
say,
I've been pretty busy because like
yeah.
the previous episodes I watched at least three times each, or actually or four.
Hmm. Yeah, I
So
watched this one
yeah,
twice, but I really had to work to fit it in. I was like, I want to
yeah,
watch it at least twice for this podcast, so I
and
did.
then I wanted to watch all of them again with this one.
Of
But
course, of
there's
course.
just not enough
Not
life for that. I probably will do a whole complete rewatch
right.
when it all comes out. Yeah,
Hmm.
but it was pretty fun, and of course, like for me, I was more focused on live death. So
Right, we'll get to that in a second. But I do have to
yeah,
say about Mojo, right away I noticed that he was looking like thinner, and then they kind
yeah,
of mentioned like, yeah, I've
hmm,
I've had a little nip tuck, and like, I guess like I guess back then he would have been on Jenny Craig or something, or nowadays he would be on Ozempic or something. Maybe he went to the future and got some Ozempic. I don't
that
know.
sounds like him. That definitely sounds like something he would do.
Yeah, but it was just kind of funny. I don't know why they made that choice because like they undid it like halfway through the episode. Like he just kind of like
Yeah,
bloated back up again.
that was
Um,
weird. Maybe he like used his old avatar or something. I don't know.
maybe, but but Mojo was kind of fun. Like I don't hate Mojo as a villain. I think
Yeah,
he's always
some people do seriously really hate Mojo, and I mean, I think it's just like a fun thing to do, fun fantasy to play out, like with every scenario that he puts the mutants in. There's
yeah,
always something fun and something fresh.
yeah. Like I don't know why people hate Mojo and they hate Jubilee sometimes. Like Jubilee is a divisive character. Like people
Yeah.
either love her or hate her. And I'm like, why are you hating on Jubilee? She's so nice and
Yeah.
innocent. She's not hurting
She
anybody.
like she literally didn't do anything bad. Here's Scott Summers and then you hating on Jubilee. Dude just left his
Yep.
child.
Hmm.
Okay, I'm still mad about that. It's been weeks.
Yes. All right. Well, I think that does wrap up Motendo. Like well, I do have to say real quick, like I'm interested to learn more about Roberto. Like every episode we're getting a little more insight into like how he feels about being a mutant. It was kind of weird this episode when he mentioned like, you know, he's kind of afraid of what his parents would think, but he actually mentioned that his mother actually did say something nice about mutants, and he was the one like bad talking the mutants and trying to pretend that he wasn't one. So like maybe he's just trying to like, you know, not change their opinions of him. I don't know, but like it is a
Like a
very
common thing that happens to a lot of people. So
yeah, especially a lot of closeted people, whether
yeah,
it's
yeah,
their
yeah.
gender orientation or anything like it's a very common experience. So like it's interesting to see it unfold on the TV show, and I
And I
definitely
think
want to see him.
it's the kind of experience that they haven't discussed previously, like in regards to mutants. I mean, probably in
Maybe,
comics they have, but like in live action or cartoons, they never did that in particular. Like a little bit of like
yeah, I guess you're right. Like for me,
defensive mechanism.
yeah, like for me, it does like recall a lot of beats from the first series where Jubilee was coming to terms with being a mutant, and where like Rogue had to come to terms with being a mutant, but none of them were like in the closet, so to speak. So yeah, you're right. It's kind of like a fresh
Yeah.
angle for the mutant metaphor here. Um, so it's interesting. I'm glad that we're learning more about that, and I really hope to see him embrace his powers by the end of the season. Like
Yeah, I
they
think he's
gotta be
gonna do
building
that,
to that.
definitely. And also, like, I want to see a little bit of his family and his parents too,
Yeah.
and
Like,
like
other than
where
just
he
like a
lives,
creepy
his
nightmare
his
version.
riches. Seriously, dude has a plane. I want to see it.
hmm And I that moment where Roberto almost died, like it was kind of cool how they had like the game extra lives, and
Yeah,
like how Spiral was there as well, and but it was like Abscissa who helped them, stay
yeah, yeah.
alive.
And you think it's Spiral because,
hmm hmm So
yeah,
lots of
that was
interesting
really
stuff
cool.
going on there. All right, Life Death. I know you've been waiting to talk about it. Life Death Part 1. All right.
Wow.
So they get right into it. Like we're in Texas. We see an owl flying around.
Yeah, yeah,
We see Storm and Wolverine. I'm sorry,
and they
Storm and
start.
Forge.
Could you stop trying to make that chip happen, okay?
Not a fan.
And not of Storm and Wolverine, and like I have wishes with Forge, okay, but probably like Lifedeath is a big part of that because weird.
hmm
Uh, but they dive like in this episode they dive right into building up a romantic connection, which is well, it did take a while, and I think they didn't particularly jump through her whole depression because like for the long time she couldn't even like get up. There's
Yeah,
like famous panel, one of
yeah,
my favorites. Yeah, when she's just lying in bed.
yeah. I was surprised that they
Um,
skipped over that.
I think that it's supposed to be like a time jump between a small time jump between she met him and she like or maybe she like came to terms with it, didn't come to terms with it, tried to come to terms with it
Mhm.
during her bus ride, something. But I mean, they did skip this whole part, and I think they probably shouldn't have, maybe, but like I understand the time limits. But they do go right to flirtation, and that's a little bit weird, but
Yeah,
fun.
I'm not a big fan of Storm and Forge just because their relationship is so like complicated in the comic
I
books.
know.
But on the flip side of it, there is a kind of maturity to that, like to see these characters dealing with complex relationships and being vulnerable in a way that they wouldn't have been allowed to tell the story in the 90s. But um yeah, like I said, it was kind of fast. There is going to be a
But then
Life
they
Death
did
Part
hit
2.
all the important parts of it.
Yeah, and there is going to be a Life Death Part 2. So like maybe they'll give us a lot more because that one's going to be a full episode apparently.
Yeah. But I
But
don't think they're gonna focus on trying to build a connection again because I think they did it already, and I think that's
yeah,
supposed to like remain. And they probably gonna focus on the rest of the arc.
probably. But they might do some flashbacks. I don't know. But
Maybe, maybe.
but um yeah, I did love that they did include the part where Forge is kind of involved with the making of the mutant collars
Yeah,
and
yeah,
all
yeah.
that.
Of course.
Because I was wondering if they were gonna do that or
I
not. Like
didn't.
you
I
got
didn't
to,
have. Like, didn't doubt that for a second because if you change that, you change this whole story and you undo this whole story because the point
right?
of it is that he's helping her, but also he is responsible for that.
Yeah. Like
And
I
that
was
somehow she like moves past it in the end.
mhm. Like we were wondering last episode, just because when you look back at the old series, Forge isn't involved with that. It's Dr. Adler. And we
Yeah,
do see a little like uh Easter egg in this episode where we see pictures on Forge's wall, and it's him and Dr. Adler and Bastion of all people who hasn't been in the show yet. So it's like it's curious to see like if they'll dig into that more into those characters and their history. But Forge does talk about how he worked for the government and
yeah,
how he was involved with this, and it wasn't like they took his designs and then they uh made these college to suppress mutants after Forge had kind of quit, but it is complex, and I'm glad that they
It is
kind
like
of addressed it
it's
all.
kind of complex in on one side, but on the other side, like, what were you thinking they were gonna do? Okay,
Right.
you're a grown person.
Yeah, like for like
Take some
Storm was
responsibility.
like, you should have known better. Like, what are you
Yeah,
doing?
like, dude,
Like, you are a Native
come on.
American mutant. Like, you should have known better than to trust the American
Hmm.
military. But
Exactly.
but I think that does kind of add to Forge's complexity because like he's not a villain, but he's also not like the most innocent hero. Um,
I mean, he's
and
not Daredevil, so
yeah, he's
that's
not
something.
Daredevil. Um, but he does love the ladies. He's very attracted to Storm. Immediately saying he
I mean,
loves
who
her.
isn't? Come on,
Right? Who isn't? So like, we
it's
can hardly blame
Storm.
him for like blurting it out like after just meeting her. But Storm, she gives him a big slap, which another thing we wouldn't
Oh,
have
I
seen
love
in the
that.
'90s.
I
Yeah, like that was
definitely
an
love that.
iconic moment. Like I do love Storm so much. Like I think
Yeah.
this show is writing her pretty well. Um, and just all her moments of dealing with her power loss, like it is emotional. It is a little different from the comic books, but they're still hitting those emotional beats for me.
Yeah, and I think that a big part of it is a tiny face reaction that they added. Because, like, I noticed that in the first episode when they were landing, and there was like a short look between Storm and Rogue before they started helping everyone around them, and they do that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like facial reactions, something that we probably wouldn't have gotten in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
The eyes and everything, they pretty much treating the animated characters like actors, and I love that.
Agreed. Um, like I love all the little details. Like I love that they were eating uh bison chili. I loved like Storm's. No, I loved Forge's cabin. That they were staying
I
in.
kind of like, I remember he had a whole building in the comics, and they started out, and he's like, I think it was like a tower or a skyscraper or
Yeah,
something
I think he has
huge.
both. Like he had like
I
a
kind of missed
skyscraper,
that.
like a high tech
Kind of,
skyscraper.
yeah, would have wanted to see that.
But a little later on, I think they do go to a cabin.
Yeah,
Um,
I think it
so
wasn't it in like alternate reality already.
I don't think so, but we'll have to go
Or it
back and
was
look.
like a simulation. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's been a while.
But yeah, I mean this part of the episode was great. I want to call out the X Factor um little cameo there. We saw another picture. Excuse
Oh,
me.
you
We
mean
saw
what?
another picture.
Forge was with X Factor, right?
Yes, Forge was with X
Yeah,
Factor,
yeah,
and we
yeah.
also
It
got
was
a little
like
bit in
it
the
was
opening
in the
credits.
original cartoon. Yeah,
Yeah, like it was in the original cartoon, and they added a little scene to the opening credits this episode, and they had this Easter egg photo in
yeah.
the later part of the episode where you see the whole team. Um,
Like, I actually recently watched that episode where we learned, like, I think where we first saw him, the one with Bobby when he was looking for Polaris.
mhm.
Yeah.
um, I gotta say, it's weird to me how last episode Bishop took baby Nathan to the future to
Yeah.
be fixed by Forge, and nobody thought to look for Forge in the present.
He been busy.
Like, I guess he's too
I
dumb
mean,
right now. He
oh,
probably needs
first
50
of all,
years of.
that, and then he's busy fixing Storm's powers, and then technically, like, what? Maybe Bishop forgot to mention that it was Forge. I don't remember.
Yeah, he didn't say
And
Forge's name explicitly, but like
yeah,
Forge is
it
the
would be
only
like,
smart person he knows in the future. Like, who else would it be?
I think he's the only smart person left in the future.
Right? um, yeah, I definitely am curious to see if they follow up on that in a way that explains more, but um
Yeah, I think I'm not sure because they're probably gonna bring him back this season or maybe like next season. But I think it's gonna happen this season.
But
Also,
another
like
curious,
I do miss Bishop. I really
yeah, like
love when he's like around in the in the
I
team.
agree. Like for this episode, I did like how we focus on just a few characters, but I don't want Bishop to be written out for the rest of the season. I definitely want him to
Yeah,
come back. Um, I want to also say it was kind of weird that Forge keeps mentioning his past with Charles Xavier, and we don't know anything about that. Like, do you know anything
yeah.
about his relationship with Charles? Because I don't.
I don't and like in the original cartoon, it doesn't seem like they knew each other.
Right.
We only saw him in the future, and then here in on X Factor, and like, are you lying about something? I mean, are you lying about something else?
He's just
It's kind of
lying
a
so he
shitty
could meet Storm.
guy.
He was like, "Oh yeah, I know Charles
Yeah, I
Xavier."
know Charles. Yeah,
So that's definitely gonna get her to come back to my pad. Like,
that sounds like him. Those sleazy bastard.
please. But yeah. But overall, though, I thought this was a cool um part that a cool way that they adapted the story. And we gotta talk about the adversary. Okay. So,
Okay.
what do you think of the adversary that they revealed at the end?
I mean, cool. Tell me
Yeah.
more. I was like, was already invested, and I forgot to like how much time was left, and I was like, "What? The episode just end? Why?"
Yeah. Like I loved the touch of like having the adversary be like Storm's voice actress, but like more scary and like altered. Um,
I did not
and
know that.
like yeah, go back and listen to it. I'm pretty
Yes,
sure that's
I will.
Storm's Alison Seeley Smith, her voice actress, and also it's got this creepy like owl form, but it's
Yeah,
like huge and like scary and magical, and I can't wait to see more of
and
that
I
probably in
think
the next
I
Life
kind
Death.
of get the feeling that they go in with like a little bit of anime imagery there too,
Yes, I
because
can
they've
definitely
done
see
it
that.
before. Yeah, and I think they're doing that again, which is
Hmm.
kind of cool. For like, I'm not the biggest anime fan,
Hmm.
but
Same.
there are things that they borrow and they just work.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree. Um, and I do think this might be a little bit different from how the adversary was portrayed in the comic books, but it's been a while since I
Absolutely.
read those books, so like, I'm not like I don't need it to be exactly the same.
Yeah,
Um,
that's
I
the
like
beauty. Like
having.
when you read something like long ago, and that happened to me with Dune actually.
Mhm,
Then you watch something based on it, and it feels normal. Like it feels like rereading that, and then you
mhm.
start remembering the details. But when you just read it, and then you probably need it to be exactly like that.
Right. Yeah, like I'm okay with being a bit removed from it and having it feel more fresh.
I feel
So
it also works like a promo for the comics. Like if you want the
definitely.
whole full story, go read the comics.
That's what
That's
I've
what
been
we've been
saying. I'm like,
telling you.
why are they not putting little promos at the end of the episode being like, read this comic? Like, why
Yeah,
do I have
maybe
to do it
like
on my podcast?
even like, what do they call it? The code,
Right. Yeah,
QR code. Yeah, the
mm-hmm.
QR code uh that you can scan and get a free book.
It would be
That would be
so
cool.
easy. Yeah, and
Get like Life Death Arc for free.
it would
Awesome.
bring in so many people into reading comics for the first time, I think. But oh well, they're not listening to us.
Yeah, not
Um,
yet.
not yet. But any other thoughts on the Life Death episode?
Yeah, I want more like
You want
soon.
more? Yes, me too.
Absolutely, absolutely. Definitely makes me very happy that Storm finally gets her like Storm centric episode that is actually meaningful, and it's amazing.
Agreed. Um, all right, so I think it's time for us to rate the episodes. Like I have been forgetting to do this on all the episodes before this, but we're here now and I remembered today. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate let's rate the separate parts, I guess. Like how would you rate Motendo?
Uh, I think like 10 would be nice.
I'll give it a 10 too. We love it. How would you
Uh,
rate Life Death Part 1?
You know what? I know that many people would probably say that like it feels like a filler or it feels unfinished or it's too short, but like it was a 10 for me. Of course, it was a
It's
10.
a 10 for me too. 10,
I mean,
10,
big
10s across the
surprise, right?
board. Right. Like we're loving the show. We can't get enough. We want more.
Absolutely.
It's not hard for us to just give it a 10 and just beg for the next one. So,
Yeah, it's
um,
probably gonna be a 10 too.
right? They're all 10 so far. I mean, 10 is an X in Roman numerals, so
Yeah, which is
it's just
fair.
it's just
It's
natural.
X-Men. It's Sandman.
But I gotta say, let's look at the title for next episode. Um, it's called Remember It.
Oh yeah.
Do you have any guesses about what this episode might be about?
Um, well, I honestly, from the name alone, I can't say like I can't. Nothing pops up in my mind, but I think it's gonna be either like Rogue, Magneto, and Gambit. I mean, come on, we gotta figure out
Yeah,
that
I
that
agree.
story
Like, I
or
definitely think it's going to
Roberto,
be. I'm
or
pretty
maybe
confident
more.
it'll be a Gambit based episode because there's this line Gambit had in the past. The name's Gambit. Remember it. Do you remember that? I think
No,
he's. I think he said it in like Final Decision, like
I'm
in the
just
first season.
playing. I remember.
Gambit's gonna be so mad at you that you didn't remember it,
I mean,
but
come
it's
on.
okay. We'll remember it next episode after we watch it.
He's busy being mad at Rogue.
Right? Yeah, he's busy. So yeah, it would be great to see more about what those characters are
Definitely,
up
because
to.
I want this drama to be resolved.
We
I need more of that drama.
we did get a little bit of it at the beginning of Motendo, which was so funny to me because like you got everybody coming down to breakfast, and you've got like Rogue and Gambit, and they're like talking about coffee, and then Magneto comes and gives Rogue some sugar, and then Gambit's like, while you're making orders, can I get a cappuccino? And then Magneto's like, no, because I'm the one giving the orders. Like,
Yeah,
like
that's so I love it so much. The tension, that whole thing. I mean, I'm pretty glad that we're moving from the Jean, Scott, and Logan to this triangle because this is way more fun.
very
And
fun,
also,
very
like
fresh
all the
feeling.
sass,
I was about to
all the
say, like
glare.
Magneto is like peak sass right here. Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of funny to me how it's like he is both
He's
very
like grown man. He's like a serious person. He's
mm-hmm,
been a terrorist,
mm-hmm.
and
And
he's
also he
like,
has this weird relationship with Charles. So it's like it's
yeah,
very queer coded, but at the same
it is
time,
definitely.
Rogue is all up about she's all about it. So like maybe
I
he's
mean, he can do
bisexual
both.
too.
Okay,
I don't know, but but
I really
it's
love it.
yeah, it's very interesting. So and plus, guys, if you haven't seen all the memes on social media of like the voice
Oh,
actors like recreating these little love triangle situations and all the fan art that's coming out of it, it's really funny, guys. Like the internet is all on top of that.
definitely.
Um,
But I
all
mean,
right, so I think that's about it. I think we hit most everything. Thank you so much, Polly, for joining me today.
yeah, anytime.
Do you have any final thoughts before we wrap up?
Oh, yeah, remember it.
Remember it.
Yeah, but like final thoughts. Everybody should be watching X-Men 97. Absolutely everybody.
Yeah, like I think it's already been a big hit for Disney. I
Yeah,
hope
I
to
think it's
see
like
it
the
continue grow in
biggest
success.
in the latest years.
And yeah, we're excited for what's coming next. Polly, do you want to again share your socials and anything you got going on right now?
Yeah, it's co underscore mixed on Threads, on Tumblr, and on Instagram.
All right.
And I'm still rereading Daredevil, like not rereading, reading
Yeah.
Daredevil. Yeah, so
All right. And you can find me at DMVCBN on mostly like Threads, Twitter, uh where else? YouTube now. Um Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So yeah, this podcast, we love to hear what you guys think. So listeners, please, please, please give us a like, follow, let us know what you think. And maybe if you want to guest on the podcast, we're always open to hearing new voices. So thank you, listeners. Thank you, Polly.
Thank
And
you.
have a great day, everybody. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.